I don't think there's a lack of stories or lack of storytellers or lack of filmmakers or lack of courage. What is really lacking, I feel like, is a good producer. Producers love for films. Now it's statistics. It's algorithm. The moment film studios and companies started going onto the stock market, that's where it has started to go down. जब भी मेरी फिल्म अच्छी लगी है लोगों को, there was a good producer who was letting me, empowering me. और जब भी गड़बड़ हुआ है, same producer was pulling the strings because money comes from somewhere else, right? Yeah. Then it's like they suffocate you.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Quint. You know, it's been a real long time since I've been so excitedly looking forward to an interview, and this is really one of them. But if I had to ask all you filmmakers, producers, recently we've been seeing a lot of directors who are choosing to kind of go outwards and make films, not just in the Hindi film industry, but in other industries as well. What do you think is really the larger issue which is at play? Do you think is the economics of it all? Do you think it's censorship, not getting the chance to tell stories that they'd like to say here? What do you think is the larger issue at play?
There are many issues. I don't think there's a lack of stories or lack of storytellers or lack of filmmakers or lack of courage. What is really lacking, I feel like, is a good producer. Producers love for films. There was a time producers made films and they were proud of it. Now it's statistics. It's algorithms. And I think really the moment film studios and companies started going onto the stock market, that's where it has started to go down. पहले तो लोग घर mortgage करके फिल्में बनाते थे. मतलब we hear the stories of how when Rakesh Roshan made Khudgars and first premiere show, the whole family was huddled in a car together. Ritik tells me, the whole family was sitting together कि अगर ये नहीं चली तो घर गया. Personal passion था. They used to take pride in the films they used to produce. And then what happens is a director also flies.
Yes, the faith kind of comes in.
जब भी मेरी फिल्म अच्छी लगी है लोगों को, there was a good producer who was letting me, empowering me. और जब भी गड़बड़ हुआ है, same producer was pulling the strings because money comes from somewhere else, right? Then it's like they suffocate you. अगर वो लड़ने को तैयार है, so we can go to court and fight like for Udta Punjab.
I think it's also because it's so complex. I mean, there's so many moving parts in any film. You have all the creative side, which is producing is also highly creative. We are all producers. It's easy to kind of put the blame on only exhibition or distribution or anything else. But honestly, we are kind of part of an art form that needs to also be a business. And that is a tricky space in which to create. And you need a producer, like he said, who's backing you. You also need an ecosystem around you where your films can fly.
We're missing good producers who are invested in the film itself for the story of the film, for the vision of the film. And this is part of the changing landscape. This is part of the fact that most of our entertainment is actually owned by tech companies and not by old-fashioned studios, not run by old-fashioned producers. So there is a slight sort of like broadening of that gap that's happening between creative people and people that have the money, which over a period of time, I think in the right way, it's always the fact that we know how to run the corporation, you know how to make the movies, we'll always make it work. But sometimes there's a tendency for there to be a slight coldness in the approach towards making a movie, which in an industry like this, you need warmth, you need collectivism, you need a sense of people having the passion to say, fine, I believe your passion, I'll give you X amount more money because I know that it's required. And you see examples today, there's the films that are consistently working across the board every single time, which is in the case of something like Maddock, for example. Dinu puts his heart and soul behind every single film he produces. He makes that film seem like, oh my God, this is the best film to see it. It's great. You have to go out there and see it. Doesn't matter what the film is. The studio is confident about a movie. The audience is confident themselves about the movie. Go and watch that movie. But yes, on a broader level, not every studio is like that. Not every producer is like that. We don't have enough theaters. We don't have enough stars. These are like facts.
Because you always don't have enough money to make the ambition that you have. It's never enough. It's never going to be enough.
The budget is always less than the ambition.
Yes. You got to prioritize and say, where am I going to spend this money? Because I only have a little bit of it. The way I think about it, it's on the screen. I need to see it, and not behind the screen. I don't want to spend on a business class. Actors like these can make these films happen.
I gave you business class, by the way.
I love the film, okay? I love the way you have delved into so many themes like classism, misinformation, vigilantism. What also made me very sad at the end of the film was that films like this kind of find it so difficult to secure funding or to secure distribution, and you kind of had a long journey till you got here, right? What were some of the obstacles that you faced along this journey, and when you have to release a film like this in today's cinematic landscape, what does it tell you about the industry?
Also, being a first-time filmmaker, I have obviously very, I would say, a limited understanding of this situation, because maybe as I get along, I would have a better one. I didn't expect anything. Firstly, I don't think anybody has any expectations of their first film except to do their best at it. So for me, this journey has been far and beyond anything I expected. I would say that it's been constantly giving. I just made the film. The film has done much more back for me in return. It's like really paid itself back 100 times over. There is a certain challenge that is distribution, which I didn't know anything about. Trying to get your film across to the right person, finding the right collaborators to distribute, with distribution around the world, not only just in India, being kind of all messed up because of technology and the change of viewing habits. In general, across the globe, the industry is in a limbo space, finding itself. For years and years, we made time-limited cinema. I mean, only so many shows in a theater or so many shows on TV. So limited. Now it's unlimited. We are going through this phase of trying to figure out how do we work out this new thing. I'm not an expert, far from it. I really don't know if I could comment on that, but I can see that limbo space is where we are. Right. And I think that it benefits everybody, and yes, right now there are questions unanswered.
Maybe this journey has been worth it, because look at the people now backing this film, right?
Absolutely.
My God, look at the names that you have. I don't know the last time I saw such the finest talents from the industry backing a film. What was it about the film that excited each of you, considering the cinematic landscape that exists today?
Such an exciting film.
Yeah, it's a very good film.
I was just completely blown away by the film. The fact that it's in the guise almost of a thriller, everything's going at this pace, such incredible insight into people, into society, into how things work. All of us come from fairly privileged backgrounds compared to what India is, and this film really does that to you. It kind of presents you a picture of the many Indias that exist.
I started watching the film, it sucks you in, and by the end of it, you're just sitting in silence, in awe, like how this was written, how well it is performed, how did they pull it off?
Yeah.
I think in spite of being aware of all the work and the craft and that kind of stuff, the film works at a purely visceral level. I think that was just the reaction for me. It's like you start watching it, and I'm fully aware of the choices Katie's made. I'm fully aware of the moments that are happening. There's a beauty and there's finesse, and it's hard hitting and all, but you're just along for the ride. You're not the same person you were when you started watching the film at the end of the film, right? Yes. That's what you want every audience member to sort of feel when a movie like this maybe. You feel that way.
Yes.
Without having to be able to point holes and say, if that section was like that. I don't think in any film any part of this film did I ever feel that, I wish that could have been different. I was like, this is, as far as I'm concerned, perfect.
I didn't look at my watch even once. Really, you can't look away.
Can't look away. You don't want a interval. You don't want a break.
Yeah. Abhishek, when we met last, I remember you telling me that the industry is slightly averse on taking risk, and that's why we're not telling the kind of stories that we should be. Are you seeing a shift in that at all, or do you think it's becoming even more pronounced today?
I think I've always felt that if you're not taking risks, then it's boring. I'm okay doing boring stuff also, like for livelihood. And but this just excites me. When I came to Bombay and I didn't know anyone, and I started my journey as a casting director, and that time also there was this whole fear about kaise karega, kya karega. You don't need a plan. You just start executing, on the go.
Right.
And you take chances with whatever you're doing. So with films also, I think I completely believe in taking chances. Whether the industry is taking, not taking, I don't think I'm affected with that. I will definitely keep going and finding filmmakers or people who are ready to do something experimental or new.
All of you have, of course, mentioned about how the landscape is changing, but we still have a long way to go. Recently, we've seen that theatrical footfalls are very, very unpredictable. What do you think is happening? Do you think the viewing habits of the audience is changing, or do you think the content isn't evolving?
A bit of both, I think.
Bit of both.
Viewing habits have changed since the pandemic. We are now used to the idea of watching movies at home, especially, and now that this whole 8-week thing has become a kind of standard thing, which I don't think should be there. I think Amar is kind of actually doing the right thing by trying to stretch that. Nolan does it historically in the West, and it kind of works. But I also think that the audience look, if it's exciting, they'll go see it. The trailer excites the audience. They will go to the movie theater to watch that movie. We have to excite the audience, and it's a very simple thing to say. First of all, you have to reach them.
Yeah.
Then you have to excite them.
Definitely now, thanks to streaming, having so many options, great options sitting in your home, it takes a lot for someone to go out and find the right show in the right neighborhood. The price of tickets is sometimes prohibitive. It's not convenient. So there are many reasons why theatre footfalls, I think, have fallen. And I think people still do want to go out to cinemas and watch films, but films are never playing for long enough. By the time you've heard of it, the film's actually gone or it's moved to another neighborhood. It's a complex thing, and I honestly feel like this is presenting us with a need to really intervene as filmmakers and figure out how do we, because I really have always felt that streaming and theatres are absolutely not mutually exclusive. They need to, they intersect, and literally you can release a film in a cinema and on streaming on the same day and date. You should be able to do that, because if, like Vic said, the film is great, you will want to see it in a cinema, you will want to catch it. If you can't see it in a cinema, in areas where it's not releasing, it's on streaming, or pay-per-view, so I feel like people will go to cinemas if they have heard of your film and it looks exciting, and you present them with the right price point and a convenient, way to watch it. There has been perhaps a dearth of great cinema, and sometimes it's because of this conundrum that sometimes the best films don't get there. It's the big films that get into cinema. That will hopefully, slowly the chaff and the grain will kind of get separated, and we will find ways to I don't disrupt this, because it can't continue where I really want to go to cinemas. Oftentimes there's just not a good film playing. One of the things we've been discussing is that this kind of noise that we are all surrounded with in our lives, that to get to your audiences become practically impossible. The cost of marketing to your audience is so high that only big films can afford it, and small films that are great sometimes just can't afford to get to their audience and tell them that their film is out there.
Don't you think that for changes of this scale, we need an institutional approach? Because I don't think it is inside out, it has to be outside in. Every industry is managed and schooled by rules, but our industry is just all over the place. Otherwise these kind of changes will never happen. He was saying yesterday that South mein there's a cap on this and that, so the government is stepped in, institutional.
It's also conditioning. The best thing that I've seen in Kerala is audience keeps track of kaun si film kab aa rahi hai.
And they go to the cinema every Friday.
But also limited cost of tickets, like you were saying.
Limited cost.
And a cap on ticket
done
prices.
by the state, So
it's a combination of things, because each of these films from the southern states, they have certain, like he said, institutional support. There's a government, and there's fewer producers. The producers have a certain kind of understanding. The Hindi industry is a bit gargantuan. We are all split up all over the place.
And to raise a ticket price, you have to get government permission.
We have no state.
We have no state.
Technically, because every other film has their own state language. But Hindi films, here Marathi films, in UP, Bhojpuri films, we are sort of na ghar ka na ghar.
I hate saying this, but there's also I go to the movie theater because I love the movies, but I hate the movie watching experience.
Also.
Oh my God. So agree.
So agree.
It's 20 minutes of
this,
advertising.
You get into the film and there's this interval and that is endless and the advertising.
You're walking into a theater that is sterile in the first sort of way. There is no character in that kind of stuff. You see ads, you watch the film with the smoking kind of stuff, you have 20 minutes of ads again in the interval where there is an ad of somebody telling you over there that advertise more because you have a captive audience, and I get so angry when I see that. And then the film finishes and you have to exit through the exit, which is through the bum of the place, which is come on, man.
It's I paid money to be here, guys. Let me go out the regular way.
And it's only
really
that's pushing me to the movie theater.
This is so
stolen, for example. Our whole goal from day one was that we won't let you look at your phone. This was
y'all have
aligned. First day. This is the first day. Now imagine you put an interval in this film. And you go for 20 minutes, then why did we spend so many years and so much money to just get that, It took a lot of effort. The largest amount of money is spent in the script itself and its development, because that's the real value.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Good luck for the film. I know no one's going to look at the films. Don't worry about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.